Hello, Express Entry Law Facebook group members. This is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher. It is that time again. We are ready today for another EE Live Q&A. So we are officially live, and I'm excited to answer your questions. I wanted to remind everyone, like I always do, that the this EE Live Q&A that we're doing on Express Entry is always sponsored by the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself. This is the do-it-yourself guide to help all of you guys save hundreds of hours and to help you get on the right track so that you're filing your Express Entry application properly. I can also tell you that probably 1/3 of the consults I get are people who hire me, retain me, to try to fix something that they've done wrong that would have easily been corrected if they had purchased a subscription to this guide, even a 1-month subscription, and gone through the tutorial as I walk you through every single step of the Express Entry process with a real live example. So this isn't me just giving you a list, a step-by-step list of what you do. This is me showing you how to do everything. So right here, folks, Express Entry, right on the host site, the Canadian Immigration Institute, this was created for you so that you would not have to spend a lot of money hiring a representative if you didn't want to. Now, let's face it, there's a lot of you out there that are desirous to be represented for that peace of mind, and that's a service absolutely that I offer as a Canadian immigration lawyer. But for those of you who just need a little bit of help, this is it. Now, don't forget, you can subscribe to that, and I'll put it in the show notes, and you can look at the description. Those of you who are on YouTube, this year I'll also put a link to it in the description for the actual video on YouTube, so you'll be able to access it really easily, as well as if you want to hire me, because I am delighted to work for anyone who is within our massive Express Entry Law Facebook group that has now grown beyond, and let's see if I even have it here still, I'm going to pop it up here, 80,000 members. So we're bouncing this around the screen. We have now surpassed 80,000 members, which is totally awesome. Remember, our goal for the end of the year is 100. So by the end of the year, 2017, 100,000 is what we're looking for. All right, so Express Entry, Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself. I'm going to leave that here for a little bit. Let's see who's on. So we've got Gulman. Hey, you're here. Great. And yes, Gulman, I will answer your question. I got your question in advance, so stay tuned. Mohammed, great to see you. Good morning, Himanshu. What time is it where you're tuning in from? I think for some of you guys, it's really, really early in the morning. Renju, good to see you. Just type in where you're from. And Gulman, he charged $2. Are you serious, Gulman? Nothing is $2. Maybe a chocolate bar here in Canada. All right, so we'll wait a few more minutes for some people to continue logging in. Ahmed, welcome. Good to have you. Milandeep, same thing. And Ahmed's in Cairo. Very cool. Great to have you joining us here. So fantastic. All right, so what I would like to do is just remind those who are tuning into this for the very first time and are wondering, what the heck is this all about? Well, as you can see, when you have a Facebook group, a private group that has over 80,000 members, people are constantly tagging me, seeking information, trying to get me to answer their questions, which is fantastic. And when I started this, I was able to answer everyone's questions. But let's face it, it's impossible. And the insidious Facebook, they do not show me everything that you guys post. Even if I tried to, I used to be able to sort it chronologically. Oh, there's my home calling me here. I'm going to have to get back to them in a little bit. When I post, or you post something, I should say, within our Express Entry Law Facebook group, Facebook doesn't let me see everything. I used to be able to sort it chronologically, so I could go back and actually zip through it. But now it's like they think they know better than I do what I want to see. And so because of that, sometimes I don't even see your posts until days later. And so by that time, I go on and I see that a lot of people have answered. Some people have answered correctly. Others have answered wrong. And so there's a lot of confusion. And the reality is I can't get to everybody's posts. So because of that, I started doing these EE live Q&As. So express entry, live Q&A. And, you know, this is no fancy production here. This is just me. It's like you guys are on the opposite side of the desk in my office, which you can see here. I am in my office in the fine law firm of Stringham LLP here in Lethbridge, Alberta. And I'm a lawyer here working in this awesome law firm. It's like you guys are here and you've booked a consult with me and I'm answering your questions. Now, it's not quite like a consult because these are very general. And I do not ever want to get into a situation where someone is trying to get me to answer specific legal questions that really are too narrow for the broad group. For example, people ask me, how do I qualify for express entry? Or can you assess my credentials? Here's all of my personal information. Don't do that. That is not the purpose of this. That's where you book a paid consultation with me. And for the time being, you can send an email to me directly to my assistant Charlene. So it's Charlene, SHARLENE, at stringham.ca, the last subject line like we have here. And then we can set up a paid consultation. There's other links which I will put in the description for this video where you can click on and actually get straight to my firm. And I'll actually show you right now just so that you guys can see. The best way is to, I have a link here that was specifically designed for all of you guys as soon as I can type it correctly. And I'm not sure, it's pretty tiny. You may not be able to see it here. But it's just www.stringham, stringham.ca/immigration-Mark-Holthe. And so I'm going to copy this right now. And then what I'm going to do is, this is how you can reach out to me to set up a paid consultation. And so that's what we're at. I'm going to switch back here to our full screen. And then I'm just going to add in the text. So this is huge and it's hard to read. Do you know what? I'm going to go back in. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to try this again. There. I'm going to paste that. Interesting. I guess because it's a link, it just likes it to be in blue. Let's see where we can see it. I think maybe people can see that here. It's kind of tricky. Anyways, you can see the link here, stringham.ca/immigration-Mark-Holthe. You can see there. This is awesome. This is like the most professional video you guys have ever experienced. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's clear it out. Anyways, those are the ways that you can connect with me. But general questions, yes, send them to me. mholthe right here at stringham.ca. Okay. And in the subject line, make sure you put EE Live Q&A. And that will get your questions to me, which all of these fantastic people have done right here. It's always interesting trying to show this. Anyways, it's like a reverse. So anyways, okay, so let's see who else we got here. We've got Sean from Trinidad, Himanshu's from India. Great, 12:30 a.m. Thanks for sticking it out with us. Tehzeeb is from India as well. Gulman, yes, you're here. Samadullah, Ip, awesome. I'm doing fine, Ip. It's great to have you. Okay, introductions are through. I'm going to clear this out so it doesn't get in the way. And now it is time for me to dive in and answer your questions. Okay, first one on the list here is Renju. And this is a little bit different because Renju is asking a question here about the Canadian Experience class. And all of you who have done your research know that there are basically three ways that you can get into the express entry process. The Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is the vast majority of you. The Canadian Experience class is those of you who are actually in Canada working or have had Canadian work experience within the last 3 years, or the Federal Skilled Trade Program. So this one relates to CEC. And here's the question. I have 3 questions, he says. All right, I'll see if I can answer these. So Renju says, my wife is working in Canada and I'm in India. we are applying under the CEC. Okay, so they're in two different places. Our first anniversary is on January the 16th. We are still awaiting for an ITA. Okay, so they're married. Is it necessary to be married for at least 1 year under CEC? Nope, not at all. You could be married one day and be included as a dependent the very next. Is proof of funds required under CEC? No. The Canadian Experience class, any candidates who are eligible through that program do not have to provide proof of funds. So there's the answer to the second question. And then 3, also my wife's NOT code is 6211. This was not accepted in 2013. Just want to know, is it accepted still? Okay, so Renji is referring back to a time when express entry didn't exist, and the Federal Skilled Worker Program had a list of qualifying occupations and occupations that were excluded. And 6211 is one of the ones that was excluded. But now, nope, Renju, there is no exclusion as long as you meet the requirements, and it's skilled work, full-time, at least 30 hours a week, for a minimum of 1 year, 1,560 hours a year, which can be made through different time periods. But the federal skilled, the Canadian Experience class is a little bit more flexible than the federal. So you're good to go. So there you go, Renju. And in keeping with the policy, one question in the books. Woo, that one really traveled. That was a good one. Okay, Aman has got the next question. Aman asks, hi Mark, my wife is 5 weeks pregnant. Congratulations, that's fantastic. And we have not done our medicals. I got to know that x-rays for pregnant ladies are harmful. In that case, we will not be able to fulfill the medical requirements of CIC. Please suggest the appropriate action that needs to be taken. And then he says, note, and then he asks a second question here, but I'm going to focus on the pregnancy. Okay, so what Aman has not told me is whether or not he has an ITA. So if you have not yet received an invitation to apply, well, don't worry about it. Go get the medical based on what you have, and they will then require you to come back after the baby is born to do a follow-up. So at this stage, if you have not yet received an ITA, just go ahead and do it. Okay? If you have received an ITA and now you're under that 90-day time limit, well, my advice is the same. You could, if you've not yet submitted your profile, you could wait until the baby is born and then submit the profile, depending on how high your points are. And then, if you know you're going to qualify with you're going to get an ITA really quick, then you might want to just hold off on doing the medical till you know it's that the baby is born and there's no issues. And that way, there's no delays. But if you've already submitted your profile, you have an ITA, you're under that 90-day time limit, then go ahead and do it. Just do it. It doesn't matter. The doctor will identify that they were not able to complete the x-ray, and then immigration will follow up after. So you're doing the best that you can, and they will not punish you if your spouse can't get the full medical because of a pregnancy. Okay? And if they do try to, then you call me, and we will take them to task. If we need to do a federal court application, probably you won't have to do that. But generally speaking, the officers are reasonable, decent people, and they will understand. Okay, but I say generally speaking because some are not. All right, next question he says, do we need to show proof of funds for 2 people now or 3 with the unborn child? Okay, well, the reality is if the child isn't yet born, the only proof of funds that you need to show initially are the children that are in existence, okay, that are born. So you don't need to show that. And that kind of hints to me, Aman, that maybe you've already received your ITA and are getting ready to file your eAPR. And if that's the case, then what you need to focus on is an explanation letter that says we have another child coming. The child is more than likely going to be born before our PR is finalized. So in that case, I would make sure that you had proof of funds to meet a family of 5 if you have 3 children. Okay, great. Good question, Aman. Whew, another one gone. All right, Faraz. Okay, Faraz asks a question about work history. Hi, Mark. I plan on submitting the e-application myself. Therefore, I subscribed to your step-by-step guide. Great. Thanks, Faraz. But I'm a little confused on how to go about filling my work history section as I cannot really relate to the example in the video. Okay? And understand, the Express Entry is a step-by-step guide that shows you exactly how to do the whole process. But it does not contemplate the specific circumstances of every single person. So, at times you will need an extra consult with me, or you'll need to reach out and try to get an answer through our Express Entry Law Facebook group. But I usually will counsel people to just book a paid consult with me, and I can answer the question and go through it. But Faraz went through the process of sending me this email, so I'm going to try to answer it right here. So he said, I'm a little confused about the work history. He's been working for the same company from the start of his career, and he's had 3 positions up till now. He's worked as an assistant business analyst, a business analyst, and a senior business analyst. Okay, so what we don't know right at this stage if they're in the same NOC. And we remember to qualify through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, you need to have continuous work experience in the same NOC of at least 1 year. And then also, if you're going through the Federal Skilled Worker Program eligibility assessment, you also need to have enough work experience to meet the minimum 67-point threshold out of 100. And remember, that's a different assessment than the comprehensive ranking system within Express Entry. It's like a precursor. It's a pre-assessment to make sure that you're eligible to even get into Express Entry. And that can be a little complicated, but guess where you can learn all about it? Let me show it. Right here, folks. Right here in the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself. For a fraction of the cost of everything else, that can give you the foundation. I'm in trouble, and my family are trying to reach me. Okay. All right. I told my wife that I was doing this, but apparently she forgot. Okay. So now the question is, how do I contemplate this? Should I make only one entry in the work experience section from 2014, which was the start of his work, to present, as I've worked for the same company? If yes, then what should I enter in the job title field? So he's asking, what do I do? Do I kind of lump this all into one, or do I keep it separate? And that's exactly the second part of his question. He asks, or should I enter experience for each position separately? In which case, I'm concerned that the portal will ask me for 3 experience letters while submitting my eAPR, whereas I will get a single reference letter from my company. That's a great question. And do you know what, Faraz? This is easily identified. The government asks us to provide an explanation of each position, a breakdown of each position where you've worked for that company when you issue the letter. So my advice is to identify each position separately. So include all the information you need for each of those positions, build them all into one letter, and that's all you need. And then when you're filling in your portal, you're going to actually identify those separate positions. If they fit, if they're different job descriptions, okay, you are going to identify them. And then when the portal asks you in the eAPR section to upload the reference letters, just upload the same reference letter in each spot. So there's no problem. So if you have 3 different spots, one for a business analyst, one an assistant, one for a business analyst, and one for a senior business analyst, upload the same letter for each spot. So no problem at all. Totally works. All right. Hi, Bella. I see you're here. Bella, my favorite person. Okay. Woo! Ooh, that was a good one, too. I got to get better at this. It's probably like flicking cards. My son, my 18-year-old son, right here, who turned the big 18 years old yesterday, is awesome at card flicking. So if you've ever went to a magician at a magic show, they can really fling those cards. Unfortunately, these pages are too flimsy, so I can't get good lift with them. But hey, that's all right. Okay. Okay, so next question is from Maud. And it's a question that kind of crosses over 2 things. Passport and the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, which for Maud, I agreed to do this question and answer it here, even though technically it doesn't specifically relate to Express Entry, because the AINP, at least until January of next year, does not participate in Express Entry. So for Maud, his question is, okay, I feel so appreciate when you go live and helping the people in Canadian immigration. Awesome. Thanks, Maud. My query is about the validity of the passport before submitting the eAPR. Okay, now this is the confusion. He talks about 80% of the applications being done in 6 months, and he's afraid if his passport doesn't have a minimum of 6 months validity, that's going to be a problem because it's going to run out of time. So the first thing I'm going to identify, Maud, is that because you're going through the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, and he says his passport is going to expire in June 2018, which right now, that's just over 6 months. And he's concerned that if there's any kind of a delay, that then the passport may be expiring. Well, right off the bat, Maud, remember that this 6-month processing time doesn't apply to the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program. And that is an application for permanent residence, an APR, which is a paper-based submission. So it's a different program. Processing times for the AINP are right around 17 months from the moment you submit it to IRCC. So you, in every case, if you think your passport's going to expire and you have the ability to renew it, do it now. It's not an issue. If you entered your passport in your through your forms, your APR forms, through the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, and you have a different passport number, don't worry about it. Get a new one, and then when the time comes, you just update the new one. So you're in great shape, no worries. And that goes the same for all of you guys. If your passport is nearing expiry and you've submitted your express entry profile using that passport number, don't worry about it. Go get an update if you can, as soon as you can, so that your passport is valid. Because when you get your confirmation of permanent residence, well, when you get your passport request, it is going to specifically ask you, at least those who need visas, to have at least 2 open pages on your passport and that it is 6 months of validity remaining. So pay attention to that. Okay. All right. There we go. Maud, great question. Oh, not bad. Okay. Jose says, good afternoon. I am just new to your sub and I have a question regarding work experience in Canada. I don't know what sub is. Must be our group or something. According to what I've read, having work experience in Canada would give 50 points towards the express entry immigration process and would make potential employers be more confident about hiring you when you are there. The question I have is it possible or would it be ideal to do voluntary work for a company in Canada while being overseas before the application process? If I did and got a reference letter from them, would that be something worth presenting in my application? So there's 2 questions here. One is voluntary work. Well, Jose, I don't know if you mean coming to Canada and physically doing volunteer work for that company in Canada, because if you do that, that is illegal work. You cannot do it. There are very, very rare exceptions where you can work for someone in Canada without needing a work permit. But in your case, if you're intending on coming to Canada and volunteering, don't do it. It's illegal. If you're volunteering overseas, well, you can do whatever you want. If a company is you're helping a company remotely from overseas, there's no restrictions to that. But for the purposes of express entry, it does nothing. So it doesn't help you at all to get a letter from a Canadian company saying you volunteered for them overseas. Means nothing. When the time comes and you become a permanent resident of Canada, obviously Canadian work experience is going to help with getting future jobs, just like it is for a Canadian citizen, like my son or daughter, for instance, who are now just getting their first entry into the labor market. Well, it's easier for them to get another job if they've shown they had a good track record working for another Canadian employer. So it's the same for Canadians, just as it is for newly landed immigrants. Canadian work experience is important. And sometimes you have to do some crappy jobs to get that experience, but then after that, it can help to build and improve and get better and better jobs. All right, good question, Jose. Throw that one. Next question is Dennis, and Dennis says, this question relates to changes to your eAPR after you've got your ITA. Okay, so he says. So he says, in connection to my question in my previous email, so he sent me an email previously, I decided to just update my profile and remove my spouse's work experience since I'm not claiming points for it. That way I won't be prompted to upload a reference letter. Is that okay? My concern is that I entered my spouse's work experience in my EE profile before I got an ITA. Now that I got an ITA, I removed it since it doesn't affect my score. I hope I don't need to provide an explanation letter. Okay, Dennis, this is riddled with fires and explosions and warning sirens, and if I was Spider-Man, my spider sense would be tingling. Dennis, you should have contacted me before you just jumped ahead and did this. And the reason is because there are certain things you can do to protect yourself and certain things that can only be done at the first part and not trying to fix it after you've already submitted your eAPR. So let's go and take a look at this. I'm going to take you guys now to the website that gives us answers to this particular question. So I'm going to blow this up here, and you'll see here that this site, I'm going to enlarge it a little bit more so all of you guys who I know are looking at this on your handhelds can actually read this. Section A11.2 relates to the section within the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act that gives officers their policy directives on how to deal with situations where there is a change that occurs between the receiving of an ITA, an invitation to apply, and the submission of an eAPR when the person files their electronic application for permanent residence. So, you can see here that under this section, an officer may not issue a visa to an applicant who did not or does not meet the express entry minimum entry criteria. So that's what we call the MEC. And the whole situation here with Dennis is not including his wife's foreign work experience. And right off the bat, Dennis is 100% right. There is no points. You're not getting any points for a wife's foreign work experience. You're just not. So it's irrelevant. It's a waste of time, at least when it comes to the comprehensive ranking system. So no points for that foreign work experience. Canadian work experience, oh yeah, you get points for that, but not foreign. So he's not going to be gaining any CRS points or losing CRS points for not disclosing that. These minimum entry criteria relate to qualifying through the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So when they're doing the eligibility assessment through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, then you need to make sure that any changes that occur between the receiving of an ITA and filing the eAPR don't affect that. Okay? So it can't affect the minimum entry criteria, or it does not, or did not, or does not possess the qualifications for which they received their CRS score. So if your CRS score is affected negatively, then that's also an issue that can lead to an officer not issuing the visa. Okay? So, and these changes are applicable at the time when the invitation to apply was issued or the eAPR was received by IRCC. So here's what the officers are asked to look at. They must determine if the applicant possesses the qualifications that they declared in their eAPR as corroborated by their supporting documents, and when they submit their eAPR, the information provided in their express entry profile, and here's the key, folks, has not materially changed to the degree that the applicant would not have been issued an ITA in that round of invitations. So, Dennis, yes, you are safe from that standpoint. Your wife wasn't affecting your ITA, your score or otherwise, her work experience. However, any time that you choose to not to make a change, it all comes down to what's really going to be considered material. So what is a material change? And that is a case-by-case determination. But generally speaking, a material change is one that impacts on your comprehensive ranking system score or the minimum entry criteria, those MECs. Okay? Whenever there is a change that has to take place, or you choose to drop off a spouse's work history that was claimed in the profile, I always include an explanation. I always put an explanation. So you didn't do that, and I don't anticipate there's going to be an issue for you, but every officer is different. And so that's the difference between filing your application and with doubts and going ahead and clearing up those doubts with some awesome, fantastic guy called Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, where for a small little price, a small little fee, I can clear that up so that there is no risk when you file. And like I've said 100 times before, 10 people could submit the exact same application to Express Entry, and 9 of them could have no problems, And one could get that one officer who's having a bad day, who interprets the regulations literally, who doesn't take a common sense approach, and refuses it. Okay? So be aware. That's the difference. So all of you out there saying you don't need to hire an immigration lawyer, you can do it yourself. All the resources are online. Understand, you can still think you're doing everything perfectly right and get it bounced. Okay. All right, so there is Dennis. We'll throw this one out. Woo! Okay, and as I look at the comments here, Mattel says, what is the procedure for express entry? Let me tell you, Mattel, exactly what that procedure is. Purchase a subscription to this express entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. And because she asked the question, even after I said that was one that we really are not able to discuss, we're going to go in right here. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to close that. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. We're going to enlarge this. I'm going to type in here the link. If you type in CanadianImmigrationInstitute.com, it will take you right here to the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to doing it yourself. And hey, look at these things here, these awesome video tutorials. And you can watch these previews right here. And the first preview that is free for all of you to watch is to click right on here, and it will take you to what is Express Entry, how it works, with me talking and showing and demonstrating. So that's where I'm going to kick you to. It's a free video, a preview that you can watch. And as you go through here, you can see that there are topics on every single aspect of Express Entry with me walking you through it. So all I can say is remember that this right here is your source of all of the general information that you need to get through. Okay? Okay. Next question. Saclane. This question is from Saclane. And it's actually not Saclane. It is Mr. Crazy Gulman, who is who posts crazy questions and distracting comments. And Gulman, I'm going to answer your question, and then hopefully you will be a happy camper. Okay, so here's what he says. He's from Pakistan, and Gulman is his nickname. He indicated here on his email to me that it is his neck right here, but actually I think he meant it was his nickname. So Gulman, who is posting frantically comments right now, here's the answer to your question. He says, my graduation is distance learning, so can I mention work experience full-time, like 2015 to 2017, as I submitted my project in 2016 and I get graduation degree in 2017, but I completed all modules before 2015. Okay, so you ask, can I mention work experience full time? Well, if you're qualifying through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, you have to understand that there's no restriction to going to school and to working. If you're in Canada on a study permit and you're going through the Canadian Experience class, then yeah, you're restricted from claiming any work experience that was obtained while you were going to school, but not overseas. You just need to meet the minimum requirements that the government asks to meet the foreign work experience requirements. Okay, then the second question is, can my cousin give me the money for proof of funds? And then I will make gift deed. Or my cousin deposits the money to my parents and then they transfer it. You guys are always asking these questions. At the end of the day, I have tried repeatedly to pin down the government on specific answers. But every officer has the ability to make their own determinations. Regardless if you have any money coming into your account, a large cash injection that satisfies the proof of funds. So if you're a single applicant, $12,300 Canadian, and you have this big injection of cash into your account, you need to explain where it came from. And you have to establish to the government that it truly is a gift, that it is unencumbered funds, that gift from your family member or whoever, that it is truly a gift and not a loan. So you have to satisfy the officer that you really have those funds available to you. And so if you're not meeting the minimum requirements, or you're not I should say, if there is something different to your proof of funds, and what I mean by different is the government asks us to provide a letter from the bank on their letterhead naming you, naming the accounts that you have, naming the dates they were opened, listing your assets and liabilities, and providing an average balance of your funds over the past 6 months. Well, if you can't provide that, then you're going to have to really hope that your explanation is good enough. And if you get a big cash injection from a friend, well, is a friend better than a family member? Well, a family member is probably better than a friend, but the family member has to explain where they got the money. And if they have a bank statement that shows that they received the cash injection from some anonymous person, well, that ain't looking any better than getting it straight from your friend. But then there'll be some people out there that will try to cheat the system or do things that I feel are unethical, and they will try to funnel the money through someone else who will then not say where that money truly came from or where it originated from. And I don't like that. I don't represent people who do that. You need to be 100% honest and upfront. All right. There's the question. Thank you, Gulman. Good question. Look at this. Gulman, he keeps posting comments here, and I try to throw away his page, and it won't disappear. Okay, there. Gone. Okay, Gulman. Moving on to someone else. Okay, this one is Jason Brown. All right. A name I can actually pronounce. Fantastic. Jason Brown. Hey, Mark, last week I asked a question, but it seems there was some misunderstanding as to what I was asking. What I want to know is if I receive the ITA, which currently has me being common law, the system will ask me to upload documents proving common law relationship. But I plan on getting married soon, so if I get married after the ITA, can I just submit marriage certificate, or do I still need to submit common law docs that was requested? Okay. I don't think there's going to be any issues with you showing the marriage certificate. I really don't. Obviously, if you've been living together for for a year previously to getting married, and you met that definition of a spouse on a common law basis, it's never going to hurt you to upload other information showing that you actually live together. In fact, it wouldn't hurt, but the reality is that marriage certificate alone should be sufficient to meet the requirements of IRCC. So they can always come back and ask questions, but the reality is that marriage certificate is initially, when you're filing your application, enough to get your application recognized as being complete. Okay? All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, there we go. I think that's the one for Jason. There's Jason's. Good lift on that one. Okay, this is Himanshu. And Himanshu asks, first of all, I'd like to mention that you're doing an amazing job and your efforts are really helping many people like me who didn't have any clue about immigration. And I'll also identify for you, Himanshu, that those who don't have any clue about immigration, this right here, folks, the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself is the best place to start. All right. The question is regarding proof of funds. All right. I will be the primary applicant, and my father-in-law will be helping us for the settlement funds through a gift deed in my wife's account. However, I will be coming to Canada alone for the first 6 months to get settled, and later on my wife and daughter would join me. Will it be a problem at the port of entry if I show the funds in my wife's account, as she will not be accompanying me that day? Okay, Himanshu, remember that the visas will have expiry dates on them. So, depending on when you get your actual confirmation of permanent residence with your visa in it, that will dictate how soon your wife has to come. But anytime you have funds that are in an account of a spouse who is accompanying you, you can show those funds as being available for the settlement of your family in Canada. So you can use those, both within your Express Entry eAPR, as well as demonstrating to an officer when you land in Canada. So you can use that, but I would always include a letter from your spouse that can be presented to the officer if she's not with you, confirming that those funds are for the joint use of the family in settling to Canada. All right? So good question. All right. Okay, and woohoo! Guess what, guys? That is the last question for today. So, because I am the awesome guy that I am, I have approximately 20 minutes here to answer all of your questions at least as many as I can get through in the live comment feed. So now's your time to start asking your questions and just post them within the comments. And this is where I reward all of you awesome people who are attending and watching this live, who are making the sacrifice to tune in at a time when it is maybe not terribly convenient for you. So I'll give you some time to answer those questions. Okay. I also wanted to point out that right after this EE Live Q&A, I am going to do a new podcast for my Canadian Immigration Podcast on an awesome guy by the name of Chris Enders, who is a former IELTS marking instructor and who teaches people how to prepare and improve their IELTS. That's the language assessment scores in order to qualify. And if you guys all go on the Express Entry Law Facebook page, you will see that probably a third of the questions relate to how can I improve the writing component in my IELTS? How can I improve my scores? Because without that high language of at least a CLB 9, you're not going to qualify for immigration to Canada. You're just not. And so Chris Enders and his Mosaic, and this is the thing right now, I'm going to have an interview with him and I'm going to post it on my Canadian Immigration Podcast. But the Canadian Mosaic English School and Services, based in Edmonton, Alberta, is the sanctioned English instructor of the Express Entry Law Facebook group. So the exclusive, so anyone who posts anything else about, hey, you should use this person or this person, it's going to get deleted, because I want to be able to control the information that comes into our site. And I want to make sure that anything that's being referred or passed out to other people as a resource, that it is someone that I know knows what they're doing, that can truly help people, and that are not just going to take their money. And that goes as far as printed material or actual courses or instructors. So Chris Enders, and you guys will be able to learn a little bit more about him. And you've seen him post a little bit as well within some of the comments in our group. But he is the man. He's the guy. He was overseas for years. And it's going to be really fun to learn more about him and share that with all of you guys. But he's the guy. Okay. All right. Let's start answering these questions. So Supriya says, I'm an advocate and I get salary in cash from my senior. I'm in the pool with 440 and hope to get an ITA soon. I will get a reference letter from my senior indicating that he pays me in cash. Will it be enough to prove my work experience is paid, or I need something else? Okay, so whenever there's cash, you'll remember that there is no rule that says you can't be paid in cash. What you need to satisfy is the proof of work experience requirements that the government is looking for. And then you're probably asking, well, where is that? Well, I could always point you back to here every single time. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to pop on here. I'm going to open up this, blow it up big. And this is the site. And I've talked about this repeatedly. Completeness check, CIC. So right here, this link is the specific instructions on what you need to provide. So if you scroll down here to proof of work experience, you'll see that your reference letter right here from the employer needs to have all this, letterhead, contact information, title, blah, blah, blah. But it also must include the following details. And so as long as your letter includes this, then that's really the minimum requirements. Now, IRCC can always come back and ask for more. You can see that this is the specific information that's needed within the letter. And you can read it. I don't need to go through all of this. You can go through this and read what these requirements are right here. But if you have a letter that states those things, that's specifically what the government is looking for. So when it comes to pay stubs and things like that, the Express Entry eAPR portal says that you should provide pay stubs if they're available. And so he may have paid you in cash, but did he give you a pay stub? What did you do with that cash? Did you deposit it in your bank account? Did you claim taxes? Did you file taxes based on that employment income? Are those taxes reflected in your annual tax return from the government? So do you have other third-party information that can confirm in addition to the letter that you really were paid. I always like to include pay stubs if I have them, but maybe your bank account shows the money going in each month. And even though it's cash, you can explain that was your employment income. So if you can't meet the minimum requirements, you just do the very best that you can. Okay, Russell John, I'm an Indian citizen living and working in the U.S. My U.S. visa expires in the next 6 months, and I plan to apply for Canadian PR under Express Entry as a federal skilled worker. My current U.S. employer does not have an office in Canada, but does have Canadian citizens working remotely. If I retain employment with my current employer and plan to continue working remotely on PR from Canada for this employer, will it count as a valid job offer in my Express Entry profile? Okay, so I'm just trying to figure this out here. You're asking if you can get work experience for working remotely for the company in Canada. Well, you have to get permanent residence in Canada. You have to qualify in order to actually enter and live in Canada. And so your question is a little bit confusing. It says, will it count as a valid job offer in my Express Entry profile? Oh, I see what you're asking. No, it won't. So the company actually has to be in existence in Canada. They have to the intercompany transfer provisions. If they don't have an actual presence in Canada, then you can't transfer to Canada, and that's the only work permit that I would see in these circumstances that could potentially work. If you want to contact me, we can talk about what's required for an intercompany transfer, including the setting up of an office in Canada to facilitate that. And there's a number of things that I do for clients that are far more complicated than this Express Entry process is. That involves the setting up of new companies, the transitioning of foreign personnel, utilizing that to get job offers. But the reality is, in these circumstances, that goes far beyond what we're talking about here. So it is possible to go through an intercompany transfer, but there's a lot more to it, and it would definitely go beyond this. So I recommend that you set up a consult. You can just send me an email here, and we can set up a paid consult, and in 30 minutes we can walk through the process, okay? So Russell, that's what I'd recommend you do. Okay, Aurora. Does CIC have access to medical history, records, MSP, medication, parasystems? They only have access to what you give the doctor. So your doctor with your immigration medical will provide that history to CIC, and that's what you'll be assessed on. They don't have the ability to just go into individuals' private medical records. Okay. Jazdeep says, I'm making the sacrifice at 125. Wicked. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Okay, lots of thumbs up. Liz says, I'm just curious. Please, Mark, is Ontario PNP picky? That is, are they looking for specific profession when sending notice of interest? The Ontario program is not in particular, generally speaking, aside from special times when they open up these very limited categories. If your point total is above 400, when they open it up, then you will get a notice of intent. So basically, you'll have the ability to then respond and submit your application. But you got to move quick. You have to be ready. And as we know, if you already have a profile, then sometimes you have to cancel the profile and then re-upload it in order to trigger the invitation from the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. Okay, Assad says, Mark, have you done any podcast on spousal sponsorships? Heck yeah, absolutely. I probably do as many spousal sponsorships as I do Express Entry in this office. And do you help with paper-based applications as well? 100%, Assad. We love doing those. We absolutely love doing spousal sponsorship. So send me an email, man, and we can definitely help you. We've got a number of different policies, and we've really, within the firm, many of you probably don't understand this concept, but many lawyers say, if you want me to work with you, you have to hire me fully, and I will represent you through the whole process. You will pay all the fees, and that's the only option we offer. In my law firm, we offer unbundled services. So you can use as much or as little help from us as you need. If you're someone who's really sophisticated and thinks you can do most of the application yourself, but just wants a review, great. If you have just a few questions and you need some clarification or just that pat on the back that you're on the right track, a paid consultation is the way to go. And that small little fee that you pay for that consult can mean the the difference between success or failure with any immigration application. So Assad, absolutely. Delighted to help. Just keep me posted. Okay. Does Chris have a website, Jazzdeep? Yes. And I will be getting him to publish all of that within the group. And I will be, I'll be helping him to get recognition. Because when I find someone who's doing it right, who knows what they're doing, I will do everything in my power to get them noticed by all of you, all 80,000 of you, all 30,000 of you who are struggling to increase your English scores. So yes, I will definitely connect with Chris. 12:56. Okay, we're cruising here in real time. Okay. Let's see here. Yes, Brian says, hope my reports are helping. Haha, Brian from Edmonton. Haha. Yes, you bet they are. Thanks, Brian. He's helping to identify people who are just taking advantage of others on the site, that are trying to get people to hire them. When they're just crooked consultants overseas. So he's been a real good supporter. So I really appreciate your help, Brian. Renju says, if I receive an ITA in December 2017, will my PR process start in the same month if I upload all my docs, or in January 2018? Renju, it will start immediately. And within our fantastic office, we make sure we have everything ready, because we know our clients are going to qualify. And so if we know they're going to get an ITA, we get all the documents ready. So the moment we get that ITA, bang, within just a couple days, the eAPR is ready and we're ready to submit it. So no need to wait. And the moment it goes in, the clock starts ticking. There's no waiting till 2018. All right. Cynthia, hello, Mark. Cynthia, you got a big long one here. Okay, I'll try to answer it. We'll try to keep the questions a little bit shorter than like essays. Okay, thanks so much for your time and patience, your dedication to answering all our questions and ensuring we are clarified and satisfied. May God Almighty bless you abundantly. Cynthia, this is the best way people can bless me, is by purchasing subscriptions to this course right here, because that is the way that it covers my costs for doing this awesome EE Live Q&As and answering your questions within the group. So consider that for all of you, no matter what stage you're at. Okay, congratulations once more on your Who's Who Legal 2018 award. I think I showed some of you guys this. This is something I'm super proud of. So you can see this is an email directly from them, and I just took an excerpt because I didn't want to take the whole thing. But coming up, Who's Who Legal Corporate Immigration. This is global, folks. This is not just Canada. This is being recognized globally as one of the leading immigration. Well, anybody can say leading. What does that mean? The reality is my peers across Canada and globally think enough of me to include me as someone that they would refer work to. And that's the best way to describe it. Because you can't say someone is like the best, we're the awesomest, or whatever. I guess the person could say that. Or they could get reviews like I have in our Facebook pages that say, Mark is awesome, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is you have no way of knowing how awesome I am. But this is a peer-reviewed. So my fellow immigration lawyers in Canada and globally have recognized me, and you can see here, pleased to inform you that you have been identified by our independent research with clients, so my clients, as well as peers, as being among the world's leading corporate immigration lawyers. So there you go. Anybody who's saying, well, why hire Mark? Mark's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Freak, guys. There's a reason. It's because I go to unbelievable extents to know what the law is, to practice at a super high level. And if multinational global companies have confidence in transferring their CEOs and executives making $500,000 a year, trust them to me, I'm pretty sure that you're gonna be in good hands engaging us to help you. Okay, continuing on. My husband will not be coming to Canada with me, so I'm applying as a single applicant. Okay. But he has a brother in Canada, so I don't know if I can claim the 15 marks meant for siblings in Canada, since the information in bracket on IRC's site says if they will come with you to Canada. No. If your husband is non-accompanying, then you can't claim a brother towards points for you. In the same fashion, if your spouse has really high education or really high language, and you're listing them as non-accompanying, then those points don't apply. They're all on your side. So the answer to that is no. So please, I need to understand if I can claim the marks as a single applicant or only if he will come with me. Only if he comes with you. Okay, thanks and God bless. Thank you so much. All right, Mohammed, Mark, But what is the parameter of having big amount injected into the account? It could be 100 Canadian, or maybe it could be 2,000 Canadian. What if someone injects or deposits only 500 Canadian, and an immigration officer asks him to give proof of that 500 can deposit, which is not that big amount? Mohammed, I don't worry about small amounts. I don't. But understand, the officer can always come back and ask for the source of it. Okay? So you guys can do as much or as little supporting explanations as you want to with any aspect of express entry. But understand that an officer always has the discretion to come back if they don't believe you or are questioning whether you really have access to those funds. They can come back and ask you to provide the source. So it's up to you. It's up to you, brother. Okay. Okay. Sai says, hi, Mark. My employer said, oh, yeah, it's a bigger one. That's not bad. Okay. My employer said that they cannot provide a job reference letter as they do not share job roles and responsibilities as per company policy. Could you please share what do I do in this situation? Wow, Sai, this is a whole discussion in and of itself. I'm going to reserve your question to my next EE Live Q&A. And at the beginning, I'll have a separate section on what to do if you can't get a reference letter from your employer, okay? Because there's just too much involved with that to really address it adequately here. So stay tuned for next Tuesday. Remind me if I forget, and we will talk about that. Because there is no one right way. There isn't. It depends entirely on you and your background and your circumstances. So, but we'll talk about it in the next one. Okay, Brian, got a question. Most of the questions point to federal skilled worker. So how about the federal skilled trades program? Can butchers, cooks, and so on get their skills or certificate related to the trade be assessed by the province even if they are outside of the country? I believe they can get extra CRS points this way. Thanks, Mark. So you have to meet, Brian, these skilled trades actually have to meet the definition, the eligibility assessment requirements. But when it comes to specifically getting your credentials, yes, you can. But it depends entirely on the province. So in some provinces, there is a physical assessment. They assess you in your practical skills. There's a written portion, and then there's an actual practical work experience component. And some of them require you to actually be engaged with a Canadian company. Alberta has a lot more regulation than many other provinces. But it just depends on each province. So they need to go to the Alberta Industry Training site or the BC. Each of the provinces have their own rules with respect to trade certification. Okay? All right. Himanshu says, hey, Mark, any idea which province would have the best opportunities for finance professionals? I can't answer that. I really don't know. Okay. Tizib says, Mark Holthy, can you please mention how much you charge being an immigration lawyer to your clients? Oh, guys, I did a full presentation on that. I'm just looking here to see. I think I still have it. On the fees that I charge. I did. Okay, here, I'll just show you guys. Anyone who wants this information can easily access it. So I'll blow this up. I've got a couple pages here. Let's see if I can shrink this down so it's just on one. Or blow it up bigger so it's on just one page. Keep going. Come on. Come on. There it is. Okay. So you can see here, this is our fee structures and levels for express entry. I talked about unbundled services. And so I'm going to actually close off with this specific discussion. In a previous EE Live Q&A, I went through details. But you can see here, when it comes to interacting directly with clients, Billy, my immigration consultant, who was also an ex-immigration officer for many years, and myself are the two that do the consults. So we're the ones who meet directly with you and over the phone, Skype, those kinds of things. Okay, so $200 is what Billy charges for an hour. So if it was half an hour, it would be $100 Canadian. And for me, it's $400 an hour, $200 Canadian. Okay, and that's our consult. You'll remember that the Express Entry Do-It-Yourself Guide is open to all of you guys. Well, that EE Do-It-Yourself Guide, I actually give you a 50% discount off of the retail $497 for lifetime access. Now, monthly access is $97 if you just want monthly. If you choose to purchase a lifetime, I do break it down into a payment plan of $87 a month. But these are in Canadian. Sorry, this here is in American. So the guide is in U.S. funds just because that's the company that hosts it. And so 50% discount if you book a consult and then choose to use the guide. Okay? And then someone trying to contact me on Messenger. All right. So that's how it works. So consult, the guide, bronze plan. When you purchase the bronze plan, you can see here it's $1,000 plus GST, and GST is our sales tax, which is 5%, which is actually cheaper than if you hired someone from any other province where it can be over 10, 11% or more. Okay, so what's included? And I go through this and you can see I break it down. A 30-minute consult, we go through everything. Unlimited access to the guide. So you get the guide for free, which is a pretty sweet deal, okay? Then you get 2 follow-up email responses. So once we get you started with the consult, you get 2 emails that you can send to me during that time period, and I respond within a week. And then 1 hour follow-up consultation to answer any final questions you have. Okay? And you can clearly see I don't represent you before IRCC. There's no other full review of all of your application. It's purely just consults, but it's designed to give you access to this bad boy right here, the guide, which really answers all of the questions in between, and then answering the specific ones about your strategy, unique assessments, determining if you're eligible, all those things. And then a 1 hour follow-up to close off any other questions that you want, which is a pretty sweet deal. All right. Or you can go with the silver plan. And the silver plan is really, as far as I'm concerned, the silver plan is better than anything you're going to get overseas with any of those consultants. They may charge less than this, but this even is far superior. And I'll tell you why. Because it starts with the same thing. 30-minute consult, unlimited access to the guide, unlimited email support, 2 15-minute phone consults if you need to speak directly with Billy or myself, and a full application review via Skype screen share before you submit it. So we actually go together, you and I, and walk through every step and submit it together. This isn't where you fill out your form, submit it to your consultant who never shows you the profile, doesn't show you all the mistakes they've made, how they've screwed up your application, and you have no means of checking it. So this one is awesome. And the benefit to me is it's a finite period of time. So once it's submitted, I don't act as your liaison with immigration. Any follow-up would not be included. And so that's the extent of it. Once it's submitted, then our representation is completed. And then you carry on yourself. But if you do need future questions or anything like that, we offer discounted rates. And at any time, you can choose to then upgrade to our gold plan, which is the granddaddy. It's for those of you, for your doctors, you foreign professionals who are busy, don't have time, just want to hire someone to do it themselves, to hire someone to do it for you so you have complete peace of mind. And that's where I do charge premium. Because guys, you're getting me, Mark, right? And even Billy, she's exceptional. But you are getting us. We manage the whole process for you, all the way from start to finish, every aspect. And once it's submitted, we are your advocate. We fight for you. We make sure that everything is done correct. We take responsibility for your file. And if you are in Canada, we offer a 50% discount for extension of work permits and things like that. So our job is also, and this is one of the other ones here, is to ensure that any steps are taken when we know there's going to be pending regulatory changes with immigration. So I pay attention to any of those changes. And if that happens and there's a change that could impact on you and you've got your profile in and I need to advise you, then we monitor that and we let you know. So there you go, guys. That is a quick little explanation as to my fee structures and how it's set up. So you can use me as much or as little as you like. And yeah, I'm happy to help you guys. All right, we're over time here. It's 1 hour, 4 minutes. I'm going to close there. Sorry for those of you who I was not able to get to, but I've got to get back to work. And I'm doing this podcast with Chris Enders right now. I'm going to record it. It's not live, it's recorded. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, I'm here to help you guys in any way. You've seen my willingness to help. And the best thanks that you can ever have or give me is to refer others to me. those that actually want to hire me to help them, those who you feel would benefit from this group, extending invitations to them to join the group, and even just sharing everything from the guide and otherwise. And I will tell you guys as well that I offer an affiliate program for all of you. And what I mean by that is anyone who goes and who wants to be an affiliate of this program, my Canadian Immigration Institute, can be an affiliate. So anyone you refer, and I give you a special access code, anyone you refer who purchases the guide, you then get an affiliate fee from that purchase that they make. And so I can set you up with that, and anyone you refer who purchases the guide, then you'll get a little bit of money back for yourself. And it's just like any type of a sales rule, right? So you can become an affiliate. All right, good enough. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you guys all again next week, same time, same place, right here, as we navigate this crazy world that we all call express entry. Take care, friends.